that's a good one. We were supportive and favorable of that. Anything else going on?
Well, of course, that was the big one. Now, that bill still has to come back to the House for us to concur with the Senate amendment. The Senate amendment just made sure that propane was included as one of the fuels, and so we will concur. That won't be a problem. And I've got a couple other bills that are in committee today, but they're not big. And one is House Bill 392, I think, and 393. And one just makes sure that, water commissioners have to have some training. And when they're new, especially, they have to have some training the first year. PSC generally puts some of that training on. Because of COVID, they haven't been able to provide some of the training. And so, but they didn't have any flexibility to continue to give people leeway to get the training. So some people might have to give up a position as water commissioner because they hadn't gotten their training, and that's it's hard enough to fill those positions anyway. So that was an easy one that should pass. And then another one was also kind of energy related. A lot of utility companies out there, maybe not a lot, but some in Kentucky, and maybe more will do it later. They have a program where you can round up your bill or maybe make a donation, a little extra money, help someone else who maybe is having trouble paying their utility bill. And currently you have a LIHEAP program, which is a government-run program where people can apply for it. Low-income people can apply for assistance to pay their bill. And all this bill does is it makes the threshold for being eligible, which is a percentage of the federal poverty level as far as income. It makes the businesses voluntary program the exact same levels as the LIHEAP program. I think the business now is 110% of federal poverty. LIHEAP's like 125% or something. So it would actually mean that more people would qualify for some assistance. So that's probably a good thing in these times. A lot of people either can't pay their bills or haven't paid their bills, and that's another issue. Those bills didn't go away, and so what's happening is at some point when that comes due, people could really be hurting, and we're seeing that happen all the time. You can't keep extending no cutoffs levels forever, or eviction, no eviction notices, forever. And, those bills just don't go away. So.
Gotcha. Jim, the transportation bill, we've now become supportive of that bill. And I know it's a big lift to try to get that thing through the General Assembly before it's over, especially the short days, and it's probably not going to be able to be done just as a standalone bill. What are your thoughts about that bill and its importance? We, of course, are very interested in economic development and community development, because you can't sell houses if you don't have a strong economy. Can't, build new housing developments where there's no roads, and the roads are crummy to get there. As they are, and we are very desperate in need of homes in this state, whether you know that or not. Our inventory levels are just critically low, and the demand is there. And of course, when that demand is so high, the price goes up, and the average housing prices have just gone like that, over the last 3 to 4 years. And they are at all-time highs. And so obviously a supply and demand, we could get a greater supply. We could possibly see some of that pressure go away. But anyway, back to the bill, it's important that we get some infrastructure. What are your thoughts about that bill?
Well, I've committed early on to support that. Now I did have one condition, and that is that we do tax or try to get some money from electric vehicles. That and now you're seeing some of these auto manufacturers saying they're going to be completely all electric by 2035 or whatever. So it's very important that we start now and making sure that, people that buy the hybrid vehicles that get really a lot of mileage are paying a little bit for that. And this bill did that. So I was on board. The 10%, you're paying probably 6 cents or 6% less than you were. Or it's 10%, it's 10 cents.
10 cents, yeah.
Yeah, you were paying 6 cents less than you were a few years ago because, previously we were tied to the wholesale rate and it had gone down. So it's really not a 10-cent increase. It's just getting 6 cents back and then a little bit to go forward. And it is important. And, I think the thing that we have to convey to people is that, okay, if we do increase this, yeah, you're going to pay an extra $100, $200 a year. But when you have bad roads and potholes and those types of things, you're probably paying 2 times, 3 times that in damage and wear and tear on your automobiles. So it's not a hard sell to me. Unfortunately, it looks like that it's probably tough to get it through the House, but everything I see appears that the Senate might be even tougher. And so I'm for it. I'll vote for it. But at this point, I'm not over optimistic about the chances of that bill passing. And I think we miss an opportunity here because, we've already seen gas prices go up, over almost $2.70 a gallon when, this time around the election last year, they were probably $1.70 or something. And so that's, 35% increase. And I think we're just heading on that trajectory with the energy policies of the new administration. There's nothing can happen except energy costs go up. And I think they go through the roof, and it'll be much more difficult a year from now when gas is $4 to pass something.
Yeah.
So
I think you nailed that pretty well. I think you, and I think you're right about, I'm always an optimist. I always think there's hope. I mean, we've seen crazy things happen in the last day or two of a General Assembly, that stuff can go,
True.
comes out of nowhere and a dark horse emerges,
Yeah,
so you don't know what you could get, but I know it's pretty heavy.
Well, let me say one thing with this short session too, you have to have a 3/5 majority for any kind of budget related issues. So that means that, normal session might, you could do it with 51 votes. We have to have 60 now to do it. So
that's a good point. That's tough to do. Richard, you want to mention anything else while we're at it, just because I know I haven't thought of everything.
But the only thing I was going to mention is House Bill 151 and Senate Bill 243. That's the county clerk bills. Representative, we're not expecting either one of those to move this session. We have a coalition that we formed with quite a few other trade associations within the states. We've met with them during interim last year and throughout this session, and we've also had conversations with the County Clerks Association about these two bills and about the language within them. I don't know if you're too familiar with the issue with House Bill 151. But these bills came from, I guess I'll go back to
give me a synopsis about both those bills real quick.
I'll go back to the start of the COVID situation back last March. It kind of opened our eyes as the need for an online system at county clerks' offices and PVAs, but specifically county clerks in this bill. If you'll remember, a lot of the county clerks' offices around the state closed for a short period of time due to COVID, and it either it delayed a large majority of the transactions that flow through county clerks' offices, and that, of course, we don't like to see our transactions delayed in any way. Same thing with, car dealerships, banks, home builders, stuff like that. So we got together with our coalition and came up with language. It said that during an emergency period, county clerk's offices would be required to stay open 40 hours a week if they did not have an online system. If they did have an online system, they would be required to open 30 hours a week. Now that language has been amended, and we, due to talks with the County Clerks Association, they felt like 40 hours was too long. We agreed with that, and so we brought it down to 35 hours if they do not have an online portal, and 25 hours if they do have an online portal. Now you might be asking yourself, how do smaller county clerks offices pay for an online system? And so that's where we have, I guess, talks have parted ways there with the County Clerks Association and our coalition. And so we have agreed to delay this legislation for this session and work on it during the interim between the two parties and come back in 2022 with legislation. So keep an eye on that for next session. You know, we feel like it's very important to us that county clerks stay open at least some hours or in some fashion during a time of emergency, because this could happen again. You know, it could happen 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And so we just want to make sure the process of a transaction is not delayed in any way. So,
Jim, let me just chime in here too. We also let the governor know that this is a problem because, you know, I guess as you're starting to create a budget next year, I mean, perhaps, excuse me, it'd be something that he would also include in there. He's aware that there's a problem, and you know, Richard had the benefit of also working in Tennessee before he came here, and you know, Tennessee kind of has a very great system that basically is online. Every county, it's a very efficient system. Problem is, you just can't build a system like that overnight, and costs a heck of a lot of money. So you know, it's what probably everybody desires is something like that. But we actually had them come and talk to us during this coalition effort we had to explain it and say, you know, how does this work? And just give us some ideas here, because we're trying to look at models on how could Kentucky go to this electronic system, which would make really great sense, you know, for everybody. But again, just like anything, it's a matter of money, you know, and you got to have the money to be able to do good things like that. So I don't think I overstated that too much, Richard. But
and the County Clerks Association is in agreement that there's a need for an online system. There's no denying that, no argument there. It's just like you said, the financial aspect of it that we need to work out.
It took them about 10 years to build that system too, by the way. Yeah. So it's not an overnight process.
Yeah. Right. And then we also have to make sure that while we're doing that, we have, you know, that internet service available to everyone out there. And that's,
yes,
that's another problem that we're facing.
That's a good point you make, because that was kind of what we were talking about. I don't know. We are economic development. Who's Missy Vanderpool, who actually used to have this job before me, who's now the CEO of Economic Development. She has developed a 5-year plan. And part of that plan is housing initiative. And she has really put it on us, the president and this association, to really spearhead the housing situation and what we can offer to it. And one of our concerns is broadband service in the counties. And I know you cover part of the county area too in our area, so you know the need for that. And I know that there's nothing that's going to be passed now, but broadband, we feel, would be a huge selling point to get more people to move out in the counties where we are more space to develop. And I know that it might not, there's no way it's going to be coming into this session or anything like that, but is that on your radar, trying to get this broadband across Kentucky, this initiative that they've been talking about?
Oh, there's no question. It's one of our top priorities and top issues. And unfortunately, we were talking about this, 5 years ago when they did the Kentucky Wired thing, and that's been a kind of fiasco. really, it's really, you can't declare it anything other than a disaster. And with the amount of money that we spent and what we've got for our dollars. So, what do we do to, I think at one point there were some people who were really upset with it and was thinking about undoing it. Well, it was going to cost more to undo than it was to finish the thing. So, so we have to continue to, to put more money in it to make sure that happens, and maybe even broaden, who can provide that last mile of service and that sort of thing. So I'm very much in favor of allowing, of course, they say this as former mayor of a city, who provided our own electric utilities and our own gas and water and sewer and all those things. I'm in favor of those local entities, whether it be a local government or the co-ops or whatever, being able to provide some of those types of services. I know Kinergy is interested in it, and when the big players haven't done what they should do to make sure that happens, then I think we have to open it up and allow those people to do it. Because I've had people in my district during this pandemic that some of them had to take their kids and sit in the McDonald's parking lot so they could do their homework, and that's just totally unacceptable. So it's definitely something we got to do, and it's not something we need to be waiting on. We got to be doing it now, because you're talking about economic development, and you have an opportunity to recruit maybe multinational companies that can come here, and as long as they have that really high speed broadband service, they can do business anywhere on the planet pretty much. And but it's important. If we don't have it, we're losing out lots of ways.
We are. Hey, Amber, how are you? Sorry.
Hello.
We'll let you say a few words if you want to, since we've hijacked this meeting. So go ahead.
Honestly, I'm just happy you guys continued on, considering I had Chromebook issues because it's a home day for school. So my child's Google Meet started at 9 o'clock as well as ours, but her camera didn't work because, here we go with technology in schools. That's a whole nother issue. Yeah. But anyway, no, I think it's vitally important to reiterate what Brian said, that we are in such a demand for new construction here, and the city limits, there aren't a lot of places to spur a new development like that. So I know the city often annexes certain spots nearby, but that being said, I need an incentive to attract a big developer. And if I said yes, if you develop out here that's just barely out of the city, yes, the people will only have to pay county property taxes. And yes, we can offer high-speed internet through Spectrum or what have you, because it is available on our main highway accesses. Usually those are the highways that are, U.S. highways. But when you get off just barely the beaten path, as you well know, it's hard. And I have people saying, well, I don't want to build here on this lot of ground because I can't get the internet access to homeschool my kid or do my work from home, and it's a problem. So as you know, inventory in itself is a problem right now. Yeah. Are there any questions? I think that anyone wants to ask me as president. I've done this twice now as president, a 10-year span between the two. It took me that long to agree to do it again. So I've seen all markets, and this is year 17 for me doing real estate. So if there's any concerns that you have that you want to see realtors spearhead or take on, instead of us always saying, we need you to do this, we want to hear from you what you need from us too.
Okay. Well, I think one of the things that helps is, of course, I know not everybody may know my background, but when I first came to the legislature, I had a property and casualty insurance agency in Providence. So, the things that as an insurance agent are some of the same thing that realtors run into as well. But I'm also a licensed sales associate with Gibson Realty and Auction in Providence. So I'm kind of one of you, and so I don't sell a lot of real estate. I need to be doing more, but
you're probably a little busy.
This part-time job that I have, it's probably a full-time job. Kind of prevents me from doing a lot of the things that I like to do. But, yeah, so I'm aware of many of your issues, as far as real estate, because I do dabble in that a little bit. So.
Well,
Have we
Representative,
covered all of the hot button issues that we wanted to discuss with him?
We hit a couple, Amber. I think Richard's got something else he wants to mention here.
yeah, I was going to mention, I wasn't going to let you leave until I mentioned sales tax on services. And so I hope, I know the locals get tired of me saying sales tax on services, but it's because I want that issue to stay at the front of their mind. And especially now with the revenue shortfalls that Kentucky is experiencing right now. I have a good guess that tax reform 2.0 is coming in 2022, and sales tax on services could come up. And
Sure.
we want to mention that issue or that topic to each legislator that we come in contact with. Sales tax on services to realtors and real estate services would be very harmful to our members, and so I'm sure Amber and Representative, and you're a realtor yourself, and y'all can speak to that quite well. So I wasn't going to let you leave until I mentioned it.
Sure. Well, I think one of the problems that we have is that when you look at, we have a lot of exemptions. And when you look at the exemptions, we're actually exempting more money than what we're actually taxing. So obviously there is a problem there. But I think that, when you start talking about some things out there, professional services specifically, we don't really have tax too much on medical services, and we can't tax food, and we can't do a lot of other things. And certainly, you can't put a 5 or 6% sales tax on, your services as far as the, price of selling a home or something like that, and the same thing with legal services and those types of things. So there are some issues there that we probably have to look at. But I do think that, and the problem with when you exempt things, we've done it with agriculture because we all want to support our ag industry and everything, and so we have you exempt one thing from agriculture, and then it's like, well, okay, we need to get this exemption. Well, there's someone else says you're getting an exemption here, so we need an exemption, and it just keeps growing. And I know over the years that I've been here, there have been a lot of instances where we would exempt something from sales tax because the system wasn't fair. It's like it was not fair to tax me when you don't tax this group or whatever. So
right.
It needs to be looked at, and I think that at some point we do need to tax some more things that are exempted currently. But we also have to do it in a way that it's like they're getting back to agriculture. Someone buys a combine, I don't know, it'd be hundreds of thousands of dollars now. Well, if you put a sales tax on that piece of equipment, does someone not buy that piece of equipment now? And so we can't do it in a way that prevents investment and those sort of things. So we have to be very cognitive of those facts, and it's going to be a challenge because what's going to happen is some people are going to be happy and someone else is going to be upset, and there's really no way that you can.
Are you saying you can't keep everyone happy at the same time?
Well, yes, that's one thing I am saying. I've learned that for a long time, but it's what's happening too is there's when you look at some of our surrounding states like Tennessee and others who don't even have an income tax, they use the more consumption-based taxes where if you buy something you pay, and so it seems things are kind of shifting toward that, and so I don't know. It's going to be tough, but you got to make sure that you do stay involved in that issue because I understand where you're coming from. But
thank you.
But I do think that at some point when we look at it, there will be some instances where we do have to tax some things that probably aren't being taxed now.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
And then Representative Gooch, one last thing, and then we can let you go. I know that recently, as of March 1st, Kentucky moved into phase 1C of the COVID vaccinations, and that incorporated realtors into that. Are we seeing at the state level that, you know, more and more people are getting this vaccination? Is that something that you see at that level, or is it more health department situation, you know, report something else? Because I know we're all trying to get back to normal, and I think people are feeling a little bit safer as the vaccination is becoming more available to people. So I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that and what you're seeing at your level.
Well, I think the governor said the other day that about a fourth of Kentuckians have at least gotten one of their. I've gotten one vaccine, one of my vaccinations, and but the problem that we had in rural Kentucky, especially in our area, was that you had to call around a lot to even try to find out where they might be available or whatever, and it's really been kind of sad, and a lot of older people who are probably the most vulnerable. Don't have access maybe to the internet or whatever. And so many times you had to go online to register or schedule an appointment, whatever. So that's been a problem. But I do know that here in, central Kentucky, I'm in Frankfort today, and they have really opened up, I think over in election that they're really opening up there with some things, and it seems to be going really much better there. But I do believe that it's starting to get better. People are starting to get vaccinated, and now we're going to have 3 vaccines, and so I expect it to really pick up. And that's important. I think it's really important to get our economy open again. People are going to feel much safer once they've got their vaccinations or whatever, and it's going to get better, but we have had some challenges. There's no question about it, especially in certain parts of the state, and that it shouldn't happen that way. I mean, it's like it needs to be rolled out, equitably, and that hasn't been done, certainly in rural parts of the state.
Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to add?
I just want to say thank you, Jim. You're doing a great job. You've always been very supportive of our issues, and we thank you so very much for that. And I think it's probably because you get us, because you are one of us, so you understand the issues that we are putting forth on a regular basis. So we really do. We do thank you very much.
Well, yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is there anything we can do for you?
No, I think just I think the thing that is what we're doing here is keep us informed about what your positions are or whatever. And one of my things that I always tell people is I want to hear from you before my vote and not after, because then it's kind of late. And but I do think that because I've been here a while, and I've always been a small business person, and been very business friendly. I know what it's like to go to bed at night and wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, where if you're going to make payroll or being able to cover the mortgage, the loan payment or whatever. And I feel like that business, that people that take risk and create jobs really make this economy go around, and they're really the driving engine of it. And that doesn't take anything away from the people that show up every day and do a good day's work, honest day's work for an honest day's pay. They're part of the process as well, and they spend their money locally. But it's kind of the chicken or the egg, and people who take risk and like I say, create jobs and invest their money are the driving engine, and we have to incentivize that as much as we can. And so I understand that, and it's something that I will always strive to continue to do, because it's important. Steve and I were talking about earlier about another part of the country where you lived, where it's just anti-business. And it's they can get by with that in Washington because they have a lot to offer as far as location and the ports and all that kind of stuff. But we don't maybe have all of those things here in Kentucky. We have a lot of other things, and we have to accent the positive things that we have. Our location is really good. We have all types of ways to transport products, that sort of thing, as far as river and rail and air hubs and all of that. So we have a lot to offer. And but we have to be the ones promoting that, and not only promoting it, but actually trying to enhance those things that we have and do it in a positive way where that people understand that and people want to take advantage of that and they want to move to Kentucky and they want to raise their kids in Kentucky and they want to employ people in Kentucky. So,
Amen. Good for you. Well said.
thank you.
Well, we'll see you
Right.
around, and good luck in the sprint to the finish line that you got. So,
Okay. I'd say come see me, but if you do, you have to do it in Providence because
no.
you can't hardly get in the Capitol up here. But and then that's another issue. I think at some point we've got to open back up. And you know, I was criticized last year for encouraging that a little bit about having some more sense of normalcy, and I was really criticized. But I think now that we see how much did we really get from some of that lockdown, I'm not convinced. So
We'll get there.
we'll get there. Yes,
We'll
we
be
will.
back.
Okay, well, thank you. It's good to be with you.
Good to see
Yeah.
you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
all
you.
very much.
Thank you, Amber. Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.
Bye, you all.
Bye.